to our humble abode, YouTube. It is I, Cherish, and today we are going to be back with our B-movies. I say movies, but it is just movie singular. I was a little busy this week, so I only did one, but I did do the B-movie, in fact. I have to admit, I've never watched it. Or at least I hadn't up until this week, which is probably for the best, because now that I've seen it, I would have been too attached in high school when it came out, middle school, high school, around that time. Yeah, because it is goofy. It would have been my whole personality. I loved it. So, without further ado, the B-movie.
Church takes over the world, not live and never in front of a studio audience.
So, we are going to start our little storyline with Barry B. Benson, aka Jerry Seinfeld. And it is Jerry. It's just Jerry in B form, which is so funny and ridiculous at the same time. Okay, sorry, I had to take off my glasses and handle a cat fight. I keep forgetting that you guys can't see my eyes when I have my glasses on because of the reflection, so I just look like a weird anime character, which is like cool, but like it doesn't help when you're trying to get to know me, you know? So B. Benson is about 9 days old at this point. He brings it up. And he's graduating from B college. He's trying to decide what to do with his life, which is a little difficult for Mr. Benson, because he's supposed to pick a job that he will do for the rest of his life. He very quickly becomes overwhelmed with this idea of having to decide on his forever job, if you will. And in the process, he stumbles upon a group of pollinators. These are like jock bees, if you will. But they end up offering to take him out to fly. And they do this as a joke because it's Jerry Seinfeld as a bee. But he agrees to it, and it actually changes his life. And it doesn't just change his life, but it changes the world. This is because while he's out with the pollinators, he ends up getting attached to a little tennis ball. And this tennis ball ends up being in a roundabout attached to this woman. So technically he gets attached to this tennis ball and then ends up flying like all over the city. But he eventually ends up back in this little teapot and then this house, and then it turns out the house belongs to the woman, and the woman is the woman from the tennis court, you know, because of course it does. Anyway, long story short, this woman, Vanessa is her name, she ends up saving Barry from being swatted to death, and he becomes immediately attached, and he thanks her because of course he has to thank her. She saved his life. And in doing this, he also admits to her that bees speak the same language as humans. They just pretend not to. This creates a weird friendship out of the two of them, out of curiosity and calamity, and a little bit of bee-human tension. But because of this, they end up spending more time together, and in the process, Barry becomes more aware of humans and human life. While he's learning, he stumbles upon the fact that humans are intentionally but non-intentionally enslaving and abusing bees for their own personal and capital gain. Barry, of course, can't just sit back knowing that all these bees are being taken advantage of, and he does what any good bee would do, and he sues the human race for being shit, and he wins, and that's awesome. That never happens, mostly because it's not real. Sorry, I ended up getting off on a little tangent and we're looping back now, but it's a perfect time to stop in our plot because like I mentioned before, I've never seen this movie before. I know a good bit about the movie because of the memes, but I've never seen this movie before. I thought that this is where the plot of the movie ended. And I'm gonna be honest, plot of the movie almost lost me for a second. Like right after this, like I was like very on board with the movie and very excited, and then I realized we were halfway through the movie and I was like, oh no. Oh no. Because normally when that happens, that means something bad's happening. And sometimes it's 50-50 on whether it's like something bad but like good for the movie, or if it's something bad that just like for me, you know? But it did win me back in the second half. It did. It almost got me. But it did win me back in the second half. And we are gonna loop back to that. We're gonna get back to my notes in a minute. But let's go ahead and finish the plot. So after Barry B. Benson sues the human race for cruelty and abuse and enslavement and anything under the sun. They don't actually specify what it is. He's just like, you're killing the bees and you're giving them nicotine and you're stealing our honey and give us back our money. And they're like, oh my god, here, Benson. So Barry wins. And then he has to spend some time going through and collecting the honey from all of the humans and finding safe spaces for all these bees to go after they're being released from these beekeepers that were treating them inhumanely. He gets all of that sorted. While that's happening, bees end up with an abundant supply of honey, and they decide to take a break because they've never taken a break before. They work until they die, you know? So for once they're taking a vacation. And in theory, that's amazing. But in reality, the bees stop. Like if they stop making honey, that means they also stop pollinating. And if they stop pollinating, that means no flowers and trees. And if we have no flowers and trees, so on and so forth, they're just completely fucking up nature's process. So while Barry is getting all of this handled, everything's dying and he's not realizing it. He gets back home, he finally realizes the problem. His homie and friend Adam, who's been there the whole time, just was kind of a background character. I mean, he's important, but he's like, you know. Anyways, his friend Adam's like, hey, you kind of took away all of our jobs on accident. I was excited to do that, and everything's dying, and it's all kind of your fault. And Barry's like, oh my god. But it's okay, because Barry has a plan. He says, don't fret. I've got a super specific solution for you. And that plan is him and Vanessa going to get the last bit of flowers that are alive. They're being used for a float parade, which is kind of crazy, but whatever. All the last remaining flowers on Earth are being used in a float parade in Cali. So they go to Cali to get these float flowers, and they're going to bring them back to their hometown and use it to repopulate all the plants and everything, and then they'll spread it to the other bees, and those bees will spread it to the other bees, and all of the pollinator bees will do their business, and then everything will get back to the way it was. Right? Right, because it works. And then him and his homegirl Vanessa, aka Renee Zellweger, aka Roxy motherfucking Hart, go on about their beautiful lives together. He opens a lawyer business, she's a florist, they do it in the same space, and they live happily ever after. Now, I do want to preface that I am kind of condensing the end a little bit. That is the end, but that is a like very, very simplified version of the end. And that's just because I don't know that I can articulate well enough to explain this. Is the clip playing? I hope the clip's playing. I also set up a whole little thing just to make the clip cute, so I may not even use this part. Is it playing? It's playing. It's over? Oh, it's over? Okay. as you can see, for all intensive purposes, that is the plot line to the B movie. With that being said, let's pull out this big guy and my notes and let's talk about it. I loved this movie. Like, I love this movie. It's cute, it's goofy, it has a purpose, but it's not overly dramatic. I think it's kind of a perfect kids movie. It has a lot of adult jokes that are really funny, but it also has a lot of really good messages for kids that they can attach to and use later in life. With that being said, this one's going on the good. I'm putting it's up top tier movie. After this week, I'm going to like set up a little tier list. That way you guys can see it. It just felt silly to make a tier list with like one thing on it, you know? So next week we'll have an actual tier list, but for now, okay, I do give it a good, and I do stand by that, but I do have one gripe with the movie, and I do have to bring it up. Preface that I'm being very obtuse with this gripe, and I know that. I just can't let it go. The whole point of movies, I know, is to like suspend disbelief and live in fantasy for a little bit, and normally I'm pretty good at that, but sometimes things just trip me up. And the thing that really got me, the fact that you have to ignore time, like kind of almost completely in the movie. They make a handful of references about how they're like 9 days old, and then later they make a reference about how like a week or two's passed when like Barry's trying to get his life figured out. So we know at least a few weeks passed through the movie, but realistically, he's fighting the government and pollinating the planet, and like doing all these other things in between, because it's kind of a little bit all over the place, but in a good way. That would take months. And that's fine until you think about the fact that realistically, honeybees only live 4 to 6 weeks. They can live up to 6 months if they're winter bees, but that's kind of like specific, and there's a lot of other things that go into it, and we don't have time for the science. Anyways, we know in the movie that it's springtime, which means they're probably the first bees born after the winter bees, so they for sure aren't living 6 months. So with that context, it's a little, I don't know, like at the end of the movie, I feel like at any moment he's gonna die, you know? But at the same time, like, good for him. Also, I guess maybe like bees that speak human live different lives or can live longer. I don't know. If I'm honest, it's just something I thought about through the entire movie, and it really doesn't matter at all. Most people probably didn't even think about it, but it is the one like little thing that just like stuck out to me. Outside of that though, the movie's fantastic. It mixes anti-capitalism and pro-personal purpose beliefs, and I fuck with both of those things. You can not want to work in a capitalistic society where they use and abuse people, and also want to work and do something of value, and I love that they tackle both of those things in the movie. But yeah, I think it's amazing, and it's really amazing things to teach kids, and it's really funny for adults too, and I'm probably going to recommend it and talk to everyone about it for like the next 6 months. So I'm sorry in advance if you see me in person, because I probably won't shut up. Anyways, before we come to a close and move on to next week's video, I do have like a little goofy honorable mention, like, because I had to do one gripe, just one fun one. There's a scene in the movie where Barry meets a mosquito, and the mosquito is played by Eddie Murphy, and the interaction itself is, it's so funny, it's so silly. It was made in the like late 2000s, early 2010s, so it's like very stereotypical, like almost stereotype, but like poking fun at it, and stuff like that's always. But what's even funnier is just at one point Barry Benson like sees the mosquito again later in the movie, and he's like, "What's up, blood?" And that's like funny or whatever. But me thinking about Jerry Seinfeld in a dark studio like box by himself, just saying, "What's up, blood?" like over and over again to get the cut take, it like is so much funnier to me, and I've been giggling to myself about it all week. Yeah, I think that concludes our video. It was a little goofy. I know it was only one movie today. I guess technically last week was only one video or one movie too, but you guys know what I mean. I'm gonna be busy for most of July, so honestly moving forward a lot of these might just be one video. I'll be back next week with our C movie. I actually don't really have any exact ideas for what movie I want to do for the C movie or multiple movies. So yeah, please give me some recommendations below and I will look into them and let you know what I think. And have a good day, have a good week. We'll talk soon.